Silas Mosswell. Silas Mosswell lived within the whispering heart of the Grand Oak Library, a place not built but grown, its shelves unfurling like leaves and its corridors twisting like roots deep into the earth. His days were a quiet rhythm of mending torn pages and soothing the restless whispers of ancient texts. Yet a strange silence had begun to seep into the lower branches, a hush that felt less like peace and more like a held breath. The silence broke with a violent crack. A core branch, home to the oldest histories, withered overnight, its vibrant bark turning ashen, and its books crumbling to dust at a mere touch. The library's gentle hum twisted into a pained groan. Silas found a single scorched leaf where the knowledge had been, smelling not of decay, but of bitter, unnatural fire. Silas stood at the edge of the withered branch, his hand on the oak's pained bark. To delve into the root-choked depths for an answer was to invite peril unknown. The library was his only home, his sanctuary. Could his clumsy hands heal such a deep wound, or would his curiosity only spread the blight further? The fear was a cold knot in his stomach, tighter than the fear of being alone. Looking at the ashen branch, Silas understood. To protect his home was to become part of its struggle. He took a deep breath, placed his palm flat against the oak's great trunk, and felt a faint, steady pulse answering his own. He would go down. He gathered his tools, a flask of morning dew and a blade of obsidian, and stepped onto the spiral path leading into the earth, leaving the familiar light behind. The air grew thick and the light faded as he descended. The living roots that once guided his way were now barricades, twisted into a thorny maze that tore at his clothes and skin. The library was fighting him, its ancient defences confused by the sickness within. Each thorny vine that snapped back was a question. Was he a healer, or just another blight to be purged? A soft light flickered ahead. It was Alara, a woman whose family had long served the oak's ink and paper heart. "The roots speak of a fire that does not burn," she said, her voice calm. She offered him a lantern fueled by glowing moss that repelled the thorny vines. Together they found a forgotten grimoire, its pages etched with remedies for corrupted growth, a map written in a language of light and shadow. Following the grimoire's light, they discovered the source wasn't a disease, but a theft. A man named Corbin, an expelled scribe, was siphoning the library's essence into a crystalline vessel, believing he could capture wisdom itself. Withering was not a sickness, it was a hemorrhage. The library wasn't dying, it was being bled dry, and they had just walked into the thief's sanctum. Corbin unleashed what he had stolen. Shades of misremembered histories and distorted facts swarmed from the crystal, their touch spreading confusion and decay. The very path behind Silas and Alara dissolved into mulch. Above, they could hear the panicked rustle of more branches failing. Corbin, empowered by the stolen knowledge, anticipated their every move, turning the library's own magic against them. In a furious attempt to shatter the crystal, Silas was engulfed by a shade of a forgotten war. The obsidian blade flew from his grasp. The grimoire was swallowed by the rotting floor. Alara pulled him back, but the damage was done. The crystal glowed brighter. Corbin laughed, and the oak gave a shudder that felt final. They were trapped in the dark, weaponless, and the library's heartbeat faded to a faint, slowing tremor. Huddled in the dark, Silas felt not the cold of defeat, but the warm, stubborn pulse of the oak's core far below. Its strength was not in its branches, but in its roots, and in those who loved it. He had no tool but his hands, no weapon but his will.
"The library does not grow from taking," he whispered to Alara. "It grows from sharing. We must remind it."
They would not break the crystal. They would overwhelm it. Silas and Alara pressed their hands against the roots, pouring into them every story they had ever loved, every truth they held dear. They offered memories of sunlight on pages, and the soft sound of turning leaves. The crystal could not hold this torrent of gifted warmth. Corbin screamed as his vessel overflowed, not with power, but with connection. The light shattered, and every stolen word flew home. Silas awoke on the main floor, new golden leaves budding around him. The library stood whole, its whispers now a joyful, vibrant chorus. He was no longer just its keeper, but its guardian. AIart became his steadfast partner, and sometimes, deep in the most quiet roots, you could find a new, solitary shelf holding a single, blank book, a quiet testament to the wisdom that some things are not to be taken, but given.